Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Above the Haze. Eric Postel here, Parliatory Law Group. With me today, Marianne Cursetjee, Alibi Cannabis in Oregon. She's a cannabis operator out there, manufacturing a variety of products from flower to some edibles and some syrups. Marianne, thanks so much for being on Above the Haze today.
Thanks, Eric. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, so continuing our series, we're just getting to know various people from the industry far and wide. Everyone has a unique story and an entry point and the lessons learned, and that's kind of the purpose of this. I wanted to start. I've gone into your website, really love the attention you've placed on your branding and image. In particular, you have a really pretty piece of art, looks like a fairy with a red background. And I wonder, from a business perspective and just the design of your business and your vision, how important is the image and art, and how did you come to where you are now in that sense?
That's a really interesting question. When we first started the business back in 2017, the market was a very different place and branding was not at all on the radar. We talked about some ideas, but didn't really focus on it. We focused instead on building the farm, producing great quality. But as the markets tightened, we needed to find ways to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace and to be able to demonstrate in an easy to see fashion so that customers could see, hey, this is a really cool product. It's good. It's delicious. It's got the effects that you want. And the packaging and the branding that's exactly what it's supposed to convey. And as a woman-owned business, we're very feminine forward, and we wanted to find something that represents the plant because the plant's feminine and also celebrates the empowered feminine. A little bit of beauty, something that's beautiful. She's kind of sexy. She brings out the best in all of us. And so we just wanted to have an opportunity for people to, you're smoking a joint and it takes you to a different place. Well, so does our imagery. It takes you to this place where people are beautiful and happy and just makes you forget the doldrums of life for a moment.
Okay. It, Women in cannabis, women-owned businesses broadly, women in cannabis, feminine leaning marketing design. Why is that important?
The legacy cannabis business has historically been, as I'm sure you know, and I'm sure most of your listeners know, has been very dominated by men. And there certainly is, there's some great men. I don't want to get into male bashing because that's not who I am. But we also need to celebrate and promote the women that are in the business. So part of that is the fact that we're women owned. So I own the business, as well as we want to celebrate women because we're all part of the story. And just anything that brings us together and helps us think of things better, I think is a great way to have it.
That brings us to your origins here. Why did you do this? Why did you get involved? How'd you get to now?
It's a really interesting story. If you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would be in the cannabis industry, I would have laughed at you and told you were crazy. Even today in it, I still might laugh at you and call you crazy because it is a crazy place to be. My background is very traditional. I've got, undergrad in accounting, an MBA. I've worked for, Fortune 100 companies doing finance, accounting, data stuff. And in 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that changed the whole trajectory of my life, my professional life, my personal life. And a friend had given me some cannabis and said, here, why don't you try this? This can help. And at that point, you're kind of at this place where you never expected to be. I'm like, sure, I'll try anything. So I tried it and it completely changed my perspective and changed my care plan in terms of dealing with cancer, dealing with the effects of chemo and radiation and surgery and all of that. And it was a huge mind shift. I'm like, this is amazing. It works. It's so much better than all the pharmaceuticals. So why don't we all have this as an option? Not that it's always the right thing for every person every time, but at least having that as an option for your care. And so I came into this industry as a medical patient, knowing that what I wanted to put into my body, I want it to be the best that it possibly can. I want to know where it comes from. I want to know that the effects are what I want. And at that time, Oregon was just legalizing. So it was a perfect opportunity to, we got a license, we built the farm, bought some property, and the rest is history, sort of.
Yeah.
It's a crazy
You know,
journey.
the more I think about cannabis as it's evolved in popular culture and over thousands of years as a medicinal plant, the more I come to a thought that the plant itself for people is a medicine, whether or not it's prescribed by a doctor. It's a medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and its medicinal value is still being uncovered through through real research. And so we certainly will continue to learn all the different properties it has and all the different ways it's useful to help people going through severe illness like you did. And that certainly is a story I've heard many times over, how helpful it can be in the cancer treatment process for appetite or pain relief or anything. And then also more
Mm-hmm.
on the mental side, folks that have used it and has helped them process things like the trauma of going through a real health scare. And I wonder, with that kind of thinking, um, was is that something that you think about in your customers, the consumers, this more holistic approach to it as a medicine, or is there another way that you approach it?
It's interesting talking about it as a medicine, because I 100% agree that it is a medicine, and it um, for everybody that uses it. But oftentimes, especially the way the market originally was created, was these medical and then recreational, even though I think most recreational use is medical because it helps you feel better. So isn't that the purpose of medicine? But it's I don't like using the word medical and having that as a focus, because I think it puts you in a box, and it puts you in sort of on the pharmaceutical side. So if you were to go to a dispensary and you were to look for something that's medical, it's going to be boring, and it's going to be very it doesn't have that emotional connection that you would have to a good brand. It's more about the ingredients, which of course we focus on, but it's a different approach to packaging and branding and marketing. So we focused on the beauty, and like you mentioned, the artwork, it's stunning. She's beautiful. And to me, that's our approach to the medicine, is it something
Helps you
that
feel
helps you feel
better.
better,
Helps you feel
whether that
better. That
truly,
and what a simple way
yeah.
of saying something that's quite profound and quite useful. Helps people feel better. That's it. Um, and
Yeah.
I can get behind that one. Curious, you've been in the game for so long, and you've seen a lot, and you've buckled down and accomplished. What are some lessons from your start till now that's useful for other people to consider if they want to enter this market somewhere else?
There's so many. I have a couple notes from when of things that I wanted to be sure to share. The first one is, the industry is highly complex. I mean, you as an attorney, you see it on the legal side, the accounting piece, the regulation side. There are so many complexities to the industry. And one of the learnings is that, or the advice, pieces of advice that I have, is to keep it simple. So hire professionals to take care of the professional stuff. But when you are making business decisions, setting up systems, building SOPs, designing how you want your business to work, you've got to keep it simple, because the things that you have control over, keep it simple, because there are things you don't have control over that are automatically complex and hard. And so reducing the amount of decisions that you have to make, and just reducing the complexity of things that you have control in. One specific example on that is, as a farm, we have a number of genetics in-house. So we've got, say, 25 or 30 different genetics. And it's this constant push and pull between the cultivator would like, their perfect world would be to run one genetic at a time, because that's easier from a cultivation side. The sales staff says, oh, we need variety for our customers. So you have this push and pull. And I'm in the middle trying to figure out what the right thing is for the business. But you can't go too far with having so much complexity for the sales staff, because it messes up cultivation.
No,
So
that's interesting.
that's just one small example.
Internal, thoughtfulness to the whole thing. How do we roll out a new strain, a new genetic? How do we not? How do we continue to produce genetics that are our best sellers? And how do we maintain it in a sustainable way so that we're not overwhelming our cultivation side, which has to produce this stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like driving an aircraft carrier, which, I mean, I don't know how to, drive one of these big things, but, you have to look in the future, 6 months from now, a year from now, and anticipate what you think the market's going to want. And even if you make that change, it takes a very long time for the cycle to catch up.
Any other lessons that just jump out at you?
Yeah. So one other one is being able to adapt and pivot. So that's something more I look for in my employees and my business partners, my people that we interact with. This industry is changing so fast that even stuff that you thought you knew as the gospel truth 6 months ago is now different. And so and this is something I found you can't really teach. It's more of a mentality, and having the ability to be flexible and to recognize that something that's right today may not be right tomorrow. And figuring out how to roll with it and still figure out how to keep moving along. Sometimes it's easy to get overwhelmed with the constant change. And so I think acknowledging it is the first step in getting through it.
Really, really appreciate the insight and hearing from your history. Couple of final points. Where is the industry heading as far as you can see it? And what one word would you use to kind of express your view of cannabis, the industry, or what have you?
Oh, good question. Where do I think it's heading? I am still very optimistic for the future. I think for me, the optimism, though, has to get through the next year. I don't think that this coming year is going to be any easier than the last one. I think it's going to continue to be challenging. So I think that 2024 is what my, the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of what I see. I think that the regulations are continue to be overwhelming. Governments keep trying to increase taxes. There's so much market confusion. There's so much diversion. It's this year is still really difficult, but I think we'll get to a place where the market has stabilized and people are able to find the products and the brands that they connect with. And I think that's how we all succeed. And one word that describes the industry, I'm going to say resilient.
Resilient. Resiliency is one of those cuts across cultures, cuts across industries. Resiliency, the ability to overcome adversity, to be able to adapt, to pivot, to understand the moment, and to self-motivate, and to motivate those around you. Resiliency, so key in that. Well, Marianne, thank you so much 100%. For coming on. Marianne Cursetjee, Alibi Cannabis out of Oregon. Looking forward to some great things for you guys in the future. And how can people find you all?
We're pretty easy to find. Instagram, Alibi Cannabis. Our website is Alibi Cannabis.
Wonderful.
And our products are in
Thank you so
dispensaries
much.
all
This
around
has
the
been
state.
another edition of Above the Haze. I'm Eric Postal. Stay tuned to the next episode.